Anthem was a bad game. Or was it? We all know the tragic story behind Anthem, the promises that never came, the disastrous launch, and the messy years that followed, all culminating in a post announcing the servers will be closed forever on January 12th of 2026. We all know Anthem had lots of problems. It had a short and weak story that didn't live up to BioWare standards, bugs and broken systems like the weapon scaling being completely messed up, barely any RPG mechanics, and worst of all, no content to keep players invested in the game, with post-launch updates not fixing the issue. But the truth is that no amount of patches could really fix Anthem, since the main problems resided in the very roots of the game's systems. It was fundamentally flawed as a live service looter. It tried so hard to replicate Destiny's success, but it didn't even understand what made Bungie's game work so well in the first place. And ultimately, they lost themselves in the process and released a game that had close to no chance of surviving as it was. Only a complete overhaul like Anthem 2.0 could properly fix the mess. A great idea, completely removed from the picture in 2021 thanks to EA allegedly focusing resources on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Well, we all know how well that went, leaving Anthem to rot with no hope of redemption. In the end, Anthem was just another victim of the problems plaguing this industry. Complete mismanagement, tight schedules, and the greed of a company that doesn't understand how to make games or even why they are made in the first place. Anthem is one of the saddest and harshest stories in recent video game history. But despite all of that, why do so many people, myself included, remember this game so fondly? I think if you ask any Anthem enjoyer what they think about the game, they will all agree with the flaws I just mentioned. But there is one thing they will defend until the day they die: how fun the game actually still is. Among all its imperfections, if there's an aspect that Anthem not only does great, but is literally unmatched to this day, it's how it actually plays compared to everything else out there. From the first moment you put your Javelin on, you can feel the smoothness of the movement and the power of wearing a suit like that. It controls well, it looks awesome, it sounds great, and it feels even better to use. From the skills you use, to the shooting, and the simple movement of the character, it was all so well put together, leaving you with the question of how all of this could have evolved if the game had been allowed to grow, with crazier weapons and skills being added, together with potential multiple challenges like raids and other content. But the absolute best aspect was how it all combined and blended together with the highlight of this game, the flying mechanic. Flying in Anthem is probably the main reason people remember this game so fondly, and for a good reason. Flying feels so incredibly good and responsive that no gameplay footage can really do it justice compared to how it actually feels in your hands. It's unique and has so much mechanical depth, not only in how you play with the environment to avoid overheating, but also in how it blends with the combat and the potential it opens up for the player. Flying is a mechanic so well thought out that it reminds me of Marvel's Spider-Man swinging mechanic, how important that was to the core of the game and how its gameplay was built around it. Anthem is exactly the same, or at least that's how it feels. It didn't matter if you were fighting hordes of enemies or simply flying around exploring the world, it all felt so joyful to execute and immersive, just like Peter Parker's game made us feel. We were talking before on how the game was fundamentally flawed when it came to being a live service product, but when it came to the actual gameplay fundamentals and how it felt in our hands, they simply nailed it. Anthem was one hell of an imperfect game, but even to this day, there's still absolutely nothing that plays like it, with the smoothness and uniqueness the Javelins gave us. And that's a big shame, because Anthem is going to disappear into nothingness in just a few months, with nothing left but YouTube videos like this one and our memories to remember it, and no other game to really replace it because there's nothing else that plays like this game. Yes, there are countless other, better games out there that can give you a similar feel at times, mech games like Armored Core 6 or fast-paced looter shooters like Warframe, but none of those games will ever get close to BioWare's take on their exosuit design and traversal. In the end, Anthem is just one of the biggest wastes of potential in recent times. And the worst part is that there's nothing we can really do about it. It's just a reality check for the players. We don't own any of these games. Your favorite game that you play daily could be turned off and disappear tomorrow with a simple click of a button, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's why initiatives like Stop Killing Video Games are so important, to respect and preserve the work of countless developers who gave their precious time to deliver an experience with their game. And if companies can't keep the servers up, they should give the power to the players to keep the game going, or at least put in an offline mode so people can keep coming back to the product they paid for. But most importantly though, Anthem is just another huge victim of all the bad practices surrounding this industry, practices that are killing games and even studios, with BioWare itself being at a huge risk after Veilguard's failure, caused by these same problems. We are consistently being robbed of countless creative ideas that will never see the light of day, or games like Anthem that will never get the chance to show their full potential and redeem themselves with a team that's allowed to make the game they want to make, that's someone on top screaming at them to change things just to fill their own pockets. This just cannot be the norm. And thankfully though, in recent years, despite all the layoffs and closures, we've also had plenty of indie and AA studios and even AAA ones delivering extremely creative games that go against these practices and stand with us on that front. But be that as it may, Anthem is going to disappear one way or another, without giving us the chance to see what could have been if the developers had more time and freedom to make the game they really wanted to make. We will never know how it would have looked with years of added patches and changes, just like No Man's Sky or Final Fantasy XIV were able to do back in the day. We will never see that now. All we can do is enjoy the final days with the game and the small community it has until it closes on January 12th, when we won't be able to take off to the skies anymore. We all knew what Anthem was and what its inevitable future would be. You might like or dislike the game more or less, but it doesn't really matter in the end. What really matters is that stories like this shouldn't happen, and they are always sad no matter what. Whether we love or hate a game has nothing to do with the fact that this shouldn't be normalized. It's very important we voice ourselves against it so that we have the chance to be heard, because things need to change. Despite the imperfections, I will miss Anthem, and I'm extremely grateful I got the chance to play it. It was an imperfect ride and one I had many issues with, but once you come to terms with those aspects and focus on the good stuff, even if little, what's left is one hell of an experience that I won't soon forget. It's been an honor, freelancers. See you around.